Hello again, everyone. Looks like we have made it through our first week of online learning, and I must say overall I'm very, very impressed with how well you all did. I'm very, very happy with how well you all stepped up to the plate, gave it a good, honest try. You all were asking great questions. I love the communication. Please, please, please keep communicating with me. Keep emailing me if you have questions. Keep putting questions on Google Classroom on the comment section. I try to answer them as quickly as I can for you, and I will answer as many questions as it takes to get you the answer that you need so that something can make sense. All right? Because I'm not in the classroom with you, but I'm still here to help. I'm still here to do whatever I can to get you the information you need to do the assignments that you need to do. Few things that I just want to kind of talk about from last week, kind of the learning curve and like how everything kind of worked out. General consensus seemed to be that people were overall pretty happy with having every single thing on one document for your assignment for the week. They seemed kind of pretty satisfied with the way I had things set up, so I think I'm going to keep it set up like that pretty much from now on. It worked very well for me, seemed to work well for most of you, so I'm going to keep it that way. I'm going to continue trying to give you, an appropriate amount of work where you're not overloaded and spending hours upon hours upon hours doing the work, but you're still spending enough time each week on your English. Also, questions, I've already addressed that, so you guys did great on questions. And, the other thing, make sure you go all the way through the entire document, okay? Part 1, Part 2, part however many. Last week, a lot of you did Part 1, which was the grammar section. All right, did great on that. And then I go to Part 2, where you're writing the emails, and you wrote nothing. There was no response to that part. And so right there, you've lost yourself 35 points. If that is you, go back this week. As soon as you get signed on, go back, do that section, do Part 2, get that email section written so that then you're not just throwing away 35 points, because that's a lot of points to throw away over just not even attempting an assignment, a part of an assignment that's really not that difficult to do. Just, got to think, what are my reactions to being, isolated away from society? Also, some of you, I was going through and grading, noticed a, major error or something that was going to cost you a lot of points. I put comments on there, said, unsubmit your work, redo this part, submit it back to me. Make sure you do that. If I have taken the time to suggest that, it means that I'm giving you this opportunity to go and make the corrections and get a better grade. So please, please, please take advantage of that. I think that's pretty much it from thinking about things from last week. So most of you last week, you went in through the classroom like I asked you to. It worked out fantastic. Thank you for that. Keep doing that. Please, please, please. So important. This week, this video here, I'm going to post right here on the stream. It'll be, right when you see it, what comes up. I am also going to this week post it at the very top of the assignment for this week, just so then there's no question about the video, because a few people kind of lost track of where the video was last week. So I'm going to put it in both places. Just watch it once, of course. I mean, you don't have to watch it both times, but it'll be in 2 places for you. So this week's assignment, you've got a Part 1 and a Part 2. Part 1, you're going to read a story. It's called The Man in the Well. Totally great, absolutely messed up story. What I like giving you guys to read. That's not going to change, but I hope you guys are going to enjoy it. So, 2 things that you need to do or think of. First thing, you're going to read through the story. There's going to be questions in the middle of the story like this, where you need to basically just answer the question. Very simple, straightforward questions, just a way of making sure that you are following along with what's happening. Use your highlight tool to answer. Pick a highlight color that's not going to make it so that I can't see the words. And then, you just scroll over it, highlight it whatever color you want, and that's how you do that. So that's how you'll answer these questions here. Now, for those of you who like to read with the audio, there's a link here. There's a link to a YouTube video with some lady reading the story. She's not great, but she's still better than nothing, and it's better than listening to me read it. So that's at least something. You can click on that link, use that, follow along in the story when you're listening to the audio, because it's going to help your reading comprehension, but that is the audio there for anybody who needs it or wants it. So you go through, read the story. Don't worry, it is not as long as it is seeming. The formatting, I've added in the questions here with these little boxes, takes up a lot of space, and, Google Docs, much like Microsoft Word, I've added in things, and then, 20 other things move on me to spaces that I don't want and put in big gaps. So don't panic. The story is not as long as it seems. All right, part 2. I would suggest waiting until you've read the story to listen to part 2, because I want to go over the questions and just make sure that they all make sense, but I don't want to give away things in the story. So if you haven't read the story yet, stop here in the video, go read the story, and then come back, and I will put in the description what timestamp of the video to come back to, so that you can, hear me kind of go over the questions, just so then I can make sure that they're all making sense to you. Number 1, very straightforward. What are your initial thoughts, reactions, or questions to the story? All right, what did you think when you finished reading it? As straightforward as that. Number 2, we're going to think about power. Who in the story has the power? And there is a moment in the story where they do lose that power. You can either put in a direct quote, or you can just describe the moment that happens. Number 3 is going to talk about theme. Theme is a main lesson that the author is trying to get across to the reader. So look at question 2, consider the topic that we're talking about in question 2, and try to come up with some kind of main idea that the author is trying to tell us or teach us through this story. Please stay away from cliches, okay? Put it in your own words, make it your own statement. Number 4 is talking about this idea. In the story, there's this idea that there's a connection between the children treating the man much like a pet, okay? So what I would like you to do is consider that and think about that and explain how and why these children end up treating this man like a pet. So for an example, the only food that the man ends up getting is what they give him. Much like an animal, a hamster, a gerbil, or anything, a fish in a fish tank even, an animal in a cage, the only food that they're going to be given is the food that you give them. So continue with that thought process, continue that thought out, and see what else you can come up with how do these children end up treating the man like a pet. Okay, number 5 says, I never went very close to the lip of the well, or I only came up on my hands and knees so that he couldn't see me. And just as we wouldn't allow him to see us, I know that none of us ever saw the man in the well. So what does this quote end up suggesting about the feelings of the narrator, about the event that happened, even now that he's looking back on the situation? Okay, so this situation happened when the narrator was a child. The narrator is an adult now. Looking back on what has happened, how do you think he feels about it? Or how do you think he felt at the time? How does he feel now? And use this quote to help you. Number 6, everyone was there again on the following morning. It was all I could think about during supper the night before, and then the anticipation in the morning over breakfast. My mother was very upset with something at the time. I could hear her weeping at night in her room downstairs, and the stubborn murmur of my father. Second quote, that night it rained, and I listened to the rain on the roof and my mother sobbing downstairs until I fell asleep. Now, look at these 2 quotes and think, what might these actually end up suggesting about the man in the well, about what's happening in the story? There's no definitive answer, but we can make an assumption. We can make an inference based upon what we're reading here, and that's what I want you to do there. All right, number 7, the story never ever gives any indication as to why the man in the well is actually in the well. So what are some reasons that you can come up with, that you can think of as to why this man is in the well? I mean, there's a bunch of reasons why somebody might be in a well. What do you think? Number 8, are the children's actions in this story cruel? Based on your own experiences, do you believe that children often can be cruel to others? Explain your answer and include why you think it is that children can be so cruel, or why you don't think children are cruel. And I will type that in and fix that before I post it. So, what are your opinions? And then explain, this is what I've experienced and this is why I think children are cruel, or why I don't think children are actually cruel. Number 9, why is it easier for the children in the story to be unkind when the man doesn't know who they are? And number 10, pick a section of the story. You can pick the beginning, the middle, or the end, or you can pick one major event that happened. And what I would like you to do is I'd like you to rewrite it from the perspective of the man in the well. This whole story is told from the perspective of the children. Now I want you to go back and I want you to write whatever section or whatever moment you choose from the perspective of the man in the well. All right, think about his thoughts, his feelings, anything like that. Add in all those kind of sensory details. For your grade, each question above is worth a total of 5 points, so make sure you are answering in full, complete sentences, and you are explaining yourself and your ideas in enough detail to warrant the full 5 points. And so if you're paying attention, that there's going to be a total of 50 points. So a lot of points there to be awarded. Make sure you are giving me work that is worth that amount of points. And if you also notice, a lot of these questions are, what are your opinion? What are your thoughts? So as long as you can explain yourself and you use complete sentences, you use a lot of detail, you're going to get the points. You just need to make sure that you're giving me a substantial enough answer. And then that is end of this week's assignment. So good luck with it. Please, can't say it enough. Anything you have questions about, anything you need help with, please, please, please reach out either through email, reach out through the comment section on Google Classroom, but reach out, ask, okay? Because I don't know if you have a question if you don't ask it, and I am here to answer any questions you have and help you get your assignments done. All right, so good luck, and keep up the great work, and we will keep plugging along.